All right, I'm calling this hearing of the Boston City Council to order. For the record, my name is Kenzie Bach. I'm the Boston District 8 City Councilor and also the chair of the Council's Committee on City Services and Innovation Technology. Joined here today by my colleagues, Councilor Aaron Murphy at large and Councilor Ed Flynn, District 2 and Council President. This public hearing is being recorded. It's being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. We will be taking public testimony at the end of this hearing, so if you're here with us in the chamber, you can sign up on the sheet near the chamber entrance. You can also email if you want to testify virtually, ron.cobb@boston.gov for the link. That's ron.cobb@boston.gov for the link. And if you want to send written testimony in for the record after the fact, you're welcome to send that to Ron, or you can send it to the committee email address, which is ccc.csit@boston.gov. For all testimony, we ask that folks give us their name, neighborhood, or affiliation, and try to keep your comments to a couple of minutes. At today's hearing, I'm going to read some long dockets into the record. It's on docket 1244, message and order for your approval in order to reduce the FY23 appropriation for the reserves for collective bargaining by $31,072,029 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for the FY23 cost contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston School Committee and the Boston Teachers Union Local 66, AFT, Massachusetts. And then docket 1245, message and order for a supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public Schools for FY23 in the amount of $37,674,337 to cover the FY23 cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston School Committee and the Boston Teachers Union Local 66, AFT, Massachusetts. The terms of the contract are September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2024. The major provisions of the contracts include base wage increases of 2.5 in September 2022, September 2023, as well as other cost items, including inclusion reform implementation. So those are the dockets. As folks will remember who regularly watch these hearings, there's always two dockets. When the city settles a collective bargaining contract, because the council had no way of knowing how much the cost of that would be, we hold a certain amount of money in reserve for those to be resolved. And then when one is resolved, you need both a move to take the money out of the reserve that's been held and then another move to put it into the relevant department, in this case the school department, in order to fund the contract. This has an added layer, which is that before it comes to the council, after the parties agree, it has to also go through the Boston School Committee, which it has done. So I will be turning it over now to the administration. We're joined here today by Jim Williamson, the Director of the Office of Budget Management, by Lou Mandarini, Senior Advisor to the Mayor, focused on Labor Relations, Jeremiah Hassan, Director of Labor Relations for the Boston Public Schools, and David Bloom, the Deputy Chief Financial Officer of the Boston Public Schools. Gentlemen, you have the floor. Jim, am I going to you first?
Yes, please. Thank you, Councilor Bach, Council President Flynn, Councilor Murphy. We appreciate this opportunity to provide information about the Boston Teachers Union contract and its impact on the city's budget. My name is Jim Williamson. I'm the Budget Director of the City of Boston. I'm here to address the two appropriations before you and the transactions they represent. I'm also joined by my colleagues from the BPS and the city to address the specifics of the Boston Teachers Union contract. The first order docket 1245 increases the FY23 appropriation for Boston Public Schools by $37.7 million. This will increase the current BPS FY23 appropriation from $1.34 billion to $1.37 billion. It's about a 2.8% increase in the appropriation. This order is based on two votes of the Boston School Committee dated September 28, 2022. The first vote approved and ratified the collective bargaining agreement with the Boston Teachers Union, and the second vote made a request to the mayor to file a supplemental appropriation, which is what we're here for today, for the $37.7 million. The second docket, 1244, reduces the FY23 collective bargaining reserves by $31 million. The amount was available in the reserve for this purpose. Please note that in addition to the $31 million provided by the collective bargaining reserve, there's an additional $6.6 million that is available for funding identified. It'll be raised through taxation because at this point in the year we haven't settled the tax rate, but specifically we'll align this with additional state aid resources. As you remember, the FY23 budget passed by the Boston City Council in June included a $75.4 million collective bargaining reserve. Since July, the City Council has passed 3 CBA supplementals for in total of $1.6 million for municipal security forces, Teamsters at property management, and bus drivers who work at TransDev, the BPS bus operator. The reduction of the $31 million for BTU, the new balance of the FY23 collective bargaining reserve will be $42.7 million. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleagues to provide a statement or answer questions.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't have a statement beyond what our colleague just said, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about what's in front of you today.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mandarini. Any comments?
No statement. Nothing to add to that beyond glad to answer any questions.
Great. I'm going to go first to colleagues for questions, but just before I do, I have one question, Jim. So why is it that we aren't taking that additional $6 million from the collective bargaining reserve?
I think we wanted to acknowledge that this amount exceeded the amount we originally planned for. That's not uncommon, sort of, reserves are established on a state and time based on a certain economic assumptions. And so we were aware of additional revenue. We decided to split the order that way to not. So we still have available resources for other successor contracts.
Got it. And specifically, you're saying that the $6 million is covered. Is it covered in whole or only partially by the increase in state aid over what we had expected in June?
It's exactly the amount that's available through additional state aid.
Okay, great. Yep. So that's already a source. So right. It's not actually dependent then on the tax rate.
Yeah, it's just, it'll be confirmed through the tax rate. You have to use your final, what they call it, the state aid sheet, cherry sheet for setting the tax rate. So that's when it'll be official. Got it.
Understood. All right, I want to go to my colleagues. So, former member, or I don't, maybe still a member, I don't know how it works, but a longtime BPS teacher, Councillor Murphy at large. You have the floor.
Former member. So thank you for being here. I know every contract is a lot of work, and this one wasn't any different. A couple questions on the specifics that are written out here for us. I can say them all and then we can just answer them. So what changes to the current BTU parental leave are being made? It says implementation of the city's parental leave policy. Not sure if what changes that made to the BTU teachers. Also just happy to see that the more support and funding for housing for homeless youth and families. I knew firsthand the disruption that students who were suffering and dealing with homelessness really had a disruption and an interruption in their education. So, and as the chair on the committee to end family homelessness, I know I work closely with the BTU and the vouchers for housing and how we really need to just continue to fund that because it's so important for our students and also for the teachers and staff around them who they know that when they have families come to them with those concerns that they know that they have actual supports that they can provide. So that's just great to see. I'm also a former inclusion teacher and knew that I worked at the Henderson where the model was very different than others, and there have been many BTU conversations and union conversations back and forth when other schools were taking on the inclusion model, knowing that our district is trying to even add more inclusion classes, but that not every school did it the same way. And many times teachers who were duly certified were expected to do the role of 2 teachers. When at the Henderson model, it was very different. So supportive of more inclusive classrooms, but just a question about reduction in class sizes for inclusive classes. So is the overall class size going to reduce? And the number of IEP students, because I know the model I worked under, you couldn't grieve class size because technically there were 2 teachers, but you generally, in the below 3rd grade, it was a 22 size class max. no more than 5 students on an IEP, so you had about 17, 18 general ed, and oftentimes you only started out with about 14, 30, because you know that as students turn 3 and other siblings that you had to have space available for our special ed students to join the class. So just wondering about the numbers and what that meant. Yes, and just the removal of the language regarding special ed inclusion, and what is the new language we're going to use there, and wondering if that changes anything. And I went through and I just put a smiley face next to moving adult educators to be paid on the teacher wage scale. That was good to see. And also seeing I assume it's more of a commitment or to the tuition reimbursement. I know there were some at times, but if you could touch on what that entails for our teachers and staff would be great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Can you all address those comments?
And I can remind, some were just, that looks great, but the language around the inclusion and what the numbers look like now.
So I'll start, Councilor Murphy, on your initial question about the changes to the parental,
Yeah.
adding the paid parental leave language, and what's currently in the contract, there's some outdated language that refers to maternity leave, and it's kind of gender specific.
Yep.
And then there's a limited paid parental leave option for relatively new teachers. I believe the old language is paid parental leave is available for second-year provisional and third-year provisional teachers. Other than that, there's not a contractual paid parental leave. So what the new language does is expands paid parental leave to all BTU members.
Awesome.
So they'll now be entitled to the leave that is consistent with the city's policy. So the
Good.
12 weeks, 4 weeks of 100%, 4 weeks of 75%, 4 weeks of 50%. They can then use their paid
Their sick leave at
accrued
100%
sick time to
kickback
supplement.
after.
Correct.
Can they choose to go right to their sick days after the 100, or do they have to go through the steps of dropping to 75, 50?
So I actually can speak to that because I just did it.
Okay, awesome.
So from personal experience, the leave team helps us figure out how you backfill those drop down percentages with your sick leave, so you don't actually experience any change in pay.
You take a percentage of your
Yeah.
sick days to
You basically just
fill in the difference?
they sort of debit your sick days.
Yeah.
I don't fully
Is
understand
that
the
kind of what
mechanics.
happens with like workman's comp
Yeah.
too? That you can always stay if you have enough sick days accrued at 100 if you use some of your own time? Same idea though? Yeah, same idea, I assume, yeah.
It is the same idea. I don't want to hold
Yeah.
myself out of the workers'
No,
comp.
no, we'll just
But
stick on paid
but
parental
so
leave, yeah.
It's supplementing
Okay.
the portion of paid time with your
Awesome.
accrued unused time.
Counselor, I would add, from a policy standpoint, building the special educator corps future. I think the notion of adding defined parental leave for the first time to the BTU contract is the kind of thing that helps, replenish teachers and guarantee that these jobs get filled in the future, and that you're drawing people who would otherwise consider that to be kind of across the bear, that there's no defined parental leave. So it's, in terms of the change that it represents in the contract, it's a pretty significant one.
And then I heard sort of 2 questions around inclusion, one around the reduction in class size, and the second around the change in the language and what is the impact of that and what's the new language. So the reduction in class size was actually sort of partially inspired by the Henderson as well as other conversations. The Henderson model, as I understand it, was sort of the class sizes were sort of set almost sort of one grade band below. So like in 3rd to 5th grade where the class size might have been 25, it became 22, and sort of so on and so forth. The idea, and this is sort of connected to your question about removal of language, we're getting rid of the notion in the contract that inclusion is a setting versus a model of service. And as a result, there was some language around inclusion class sizes in the contract that needed to come out because there wouldn't be anything to apply it to. And so the question became sort of, how do we accommodate the need to have smaller class sizes, right, and to get more individualized attention for kids in these now newly more inclusive classrooms, while also ensuring access to school and other issues, especially in the transition period where we know we might have a school that has 25 third graders right now, and if we lower class sizes next year, that those 25 third graders are going to go to fourth grade. We can't just magically make 2 of them disappear.
Right, they're there.
And so we worked collaboratively with the BTU to figure out some transitional language to help us say that, we're ensuring that we're not displacing kids existing in the school. And we've actually got some, I think, really exciting and innovative language around making sure that the #1 priority is students being able to stay in their school.
As they change.
As things about their IEP change,
Yep.
whether it's their needs going up or going down.
They don't have to move
They don't
to
have
the
to
setting.
move schools
that- yep,
because of a
provides it.
setting. And so that's required a lot of creativity around what had been pretty strict and model-based class size language to something that's a little bit more flexible while also still making sure that teachers are getting the support they need. And so to get to your second question about removal of language, if you look at the old contract book, which you definitely don't have to do, a lot of the language in the inclusion section was based on the idea of taking a substantially separate classroom and merging it in
yep.
with a general education classroom, which is not a modern approach.
No. It was often how the Henderson, though, justified. Because they
Of
would
course.
say, if you were at the Murphy and you were a teacher of a substantially separate
Right.
classroom of 5, you may have 2 paras, you'd be
Right.
alone. But now we'll merge it with the
Yeah.
class with a few less general ed students, yeah.
Yeah. And actually in the contract, it grandfathered in the O'Hearn school model.
Yep.
Which
Which is the Henderson.
to give you a
yeah.
sense of when the language was from, right?
Okay.
It's now the Henderson School. And so in our last negotiation with the union, we had done, I think, a nice job of making some modifications to the existing language to try and bring it closer to what we needed to do. And I think the thing that both parties realized over the span of the last contract is really the existing language was just not set up to support what we needed to do. And so we needed to work together to really rewrite essentially that whole section of the contract for more modern language that reflects, what we understand best practice to be.
And quickly, on the same topic, thank you, Chair, did we address the confusion that often happens in the middle and high school when there's not a homeroom setting? So the student moves, and that often came up, especially when the Henderson went K-12, when we were no longer in that classroom, you're with 1 or 2 teachers per day. Your class stays together.
It's an incredibly important topic and one that's been a big part of our 7-12 discussions. And we had the real benefit of learning from the experience of schools like Charlestown High School and East Boston High School. As they went 7-12, we also sort of piloted a lot of this inclusive work in collaboration with the teachers at the school there to design the 7th and 8th grades to reflect some of these newer models and ways of thinking and to really understand that an English class might be co-taught, and then the same kids might go to science, and there'd be paraprofessional support,
Right.
and then
that's
those kids
okay.
go to a variety of electives that have no special education support necessarily, right? And so I think the new contract really does set us up for that very well by moving away from this model-based system to something that is more driven by what's on kids' IEPs,
Right, what the students need,
what the students actually need.
which is what an IEP is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, Chair.
1 second, there we go.
You can spend hours with the modifications that were made to the contract and still not sort of capture the extent of how much it is and exactly what went on. But I do think that there's a larger point that needs to be made that's sort of raised by your question, which is one that is the highest compliment that one can pay to the BTU as an organization and the way they approached this negotiation. From the standpoint of the administration, this is how collective bargaining is supposed to work. And this is sort of a statement that collective bargaining, despite sort of public perception sometimes that it's a bar to reform and it's a bar to making things work better. It can often be the engine of making things work better. And the BTU joined us in that, locked arms with the city, with BPS, and made some really significant far-reaching changes that I'm not sure anybody really thought necessarily would be the kind of thing we would do in this negotiation, and yet they did. So I think that's fairly raised by your question or the subject matters you wanted to ask, and I think it's something that really belongs in the record. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Councilor Murphy. President Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the administration team that is present. Thank you for the professional work that you've done on this contract, working closely with the BTU. My question is for a new teacher that was just hired in the over the last year or so. What would the average starting salary be for a new teacher? But are there any programs for that new teacher to afford a home or an apartment in the city? Afford a home, I should say. Any language that was added into the contract about those issues?
I can certainly answer your question about the salary for a new teacher. I'll answer that while I buy my colleagues some time to answer the second part of your question. Most of our teachers work in what we call our extended time schools and are getting additional pay for extended time. So I'll use that as a start, though there's a bit of a range. A new teacher prior to the implementation of this contract was getting paid in their first year between $64,000 and $79,000. With sort of the typical teacher probably in the high 60s, between sort of 67 and 70. This contract in the current year will increase that by about $4,000. Maybe don't quote me on that. So for new teachers, we'll get you everyone will get their new rates soon.
So, President Flynn, in terms of new language that would add a housing trust, which is something that you've seen in other contracts, we didn't include anything in the MOA with the BTU. Now, it's worth noting that they do not have the residency requirement that some of our other bargaining units have. By state law, it's actually prohibited to require teachers and instructional aides to live in the school district in which they work. So not all our BTU members are Boston residents. So we did not include the housing trust language that some of our other collective bargaining agreements have recently included.
Okay. The reason I bring that issue up is, especially for new city employees that are starting in the system, that $60,000 figure, the $70,000 figure, $80,000 figure, it's not really enough to afford even an apartment in the city, or a home, and maybe even throughout Greater Boston. I don't know. I don't know the figures about Greater Boston, but I would like to see language in contracts that do try to help younger employees that are getting into the city payroll system, whether they're school teachers or they're janitors or they're cafeteria people or they're laborers for different public works. I would like to see some type of housing assistance to help them, because their salary might be okay starting out, a good wage, but it's certainly not a good wage to afford an apartment or a home. So my only advice or recommendation is, that's something we should always be thinking of, and I do know that you're always thinking about that, because you know how difficult it is to get workers in the city with the high cost of housing. So I just want to acknowledge the professional work that you're doing, but also note that we still want to make sure that we can provide some assistance to new workers with housing assistance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you so much, President Flynn. Just a couple of comments from me. One is just, I think it's great for the council to see, we've discussed some in the council, kind of the challenge around religious holidays and trying to make sure that people are able to observe their religions, and especially with the holidays like that move on a lunar cycle, like the Muslim and Jewish ones, where they're a different day every year. Seeing that you guys have those, that everyone can take 2 of those kind of no fault in the contract is great to see. And obviously the sort of codification of the family liaison role, which, as you know, the council's really supported seeing increased, and as Councilor Murphy mentioned, the adult education, putting those folks in. But yeah, I mean, mainly just want to really say how encouraging it is to see the district and the BTU come together around the inclusion model, and just what a huge thing it is. And as I was reading through the MOA, I mean, what I appreciated was there's lots of places where it seems like, the 2 sides together are saying, we haven't figured this all out yet, but we're going to do this together, right? And so we're going to have planning teams, and we're going to have a process, and if something's not working, we're going to have a process to say, hey, it seems like that's not working. And it seems to me like when we think about making this transition district-wide, like, it would be hopeless if either the district or the teachers were not approaching it that way, right? So I think it's very encouraging to see that. I did just want to ask a couple of questions about sort of just so I can better understand kind of the trajectory that we're on. Like, if we think about sort of, and I don't need the exact answer the way I phrase it. You guys might have a way of summarizing this that's different from the way I'm asking, but I guess part of what I'm curious is, over the life of the contract, like, how many students do we expect sort of to transfer from substantially separate contexts to inclusion context now that we're treating inclusion as a service? Like, how should we think about the scale of that transition? I was curious when I was seeing, I mean, I know, and again, I don't know much about this topic, but I do know the teacher frustration with when one teacher has 2 or 3 licensures and we treat them like 3 professionals in the room, like, oh, you're the special ed teacher and the ESL teacher and the teacher of record. And so I appreciated the recognition of that problem in here and the effort to kind of try to transition us to, no, just because you have those competencies, you still need like another pair of hands, or like you can't use all of those competencies simultaneously, right, with all the students. But it does seem to me like for us to get away from that, there's obviously shifting in the staffing models that have to happen. And of course, it's a little chicken and egg, like you have to be reducing the number of substantially separate classrooms you're staffing in order to have those staff like more distributed throughout the system. And then I also saw the sort of reference to, we won't have any classrooms where, it's more than 40% of the max number of kids in the classroom who have IEPs, and not more than 50% of the kids who are actually in the classroom have IEPs. And I guess my question there is, like, sort of where are those thresholds vis-a-vis what we see in the classroom today? Are those, like, do we today have classrooms that are above those thresholds and we're trying to bring them down? Or is it more about recognizing that as we mainstream more kids, that we might come close to those thresholds? So that's just, if you guys can give me a little more context on kind of where we are on this journey, recognizing that both sides sort of acknowledged it as a process.
Definitely very happy to do that, and appreciate all of your comments, Counselor. So in terms of timeline for implementation and some sense of the scale of it, part of the reason we wrote the language you were referencing and the need to work together on this is we recognize that this work is going to last beyond this contract, right? We have approximately 10,000 students with disabilities in our schools today, right? Which is about 1/5 of all of our students. All of their IEPs need to be reviewed, changed, thought through as a part of what these new service delivery models are going to be. We're going to have schools that are at various places along the spectrum of learning and understanding to move this work forward. So we're really excited to get started immediately. We're starting training already. We're working with schools already, coaching. and setting up inclusion planning teams and all the things you see. But it really is going to be a intensive, multi-year effort that goes well beyond this contract to fully implement. In terms of that, I think, that'll really help. And I think, you mentioned sort of the reduction of substantially separate. I think from our lens, what we're really talking about is more of a redeployment of time than a reduction, right? So it's resources supporting kids differently, but a lot of this similar expertise we need in schools from the special ed side.
But sorry, David, just to cut in, but fewer students will be in substantially
Exactly.
separate
Yeah,
settings,
the
right?
right. Yes.
No, I agree with you that obviously it's not that we're reducing special ed,
Right.
like supportive services, but in terms of like, where does a kid sit
Yes.
over the course of the implementation of this?
Right.
Fewer kids are going to be sitting in substantially separate classrooms, more than going to be receiving like
Yeah.
services while in
Exactly.
main classrooms. Yeah.
Exactly. And part of what we're doing with breaking down the model is instead of saying, a student either gets their 4 core periods in the elementary school, either in substantially separate or in general ed, there'll be more flexibility to say the student needs a smaller group, substantially separate setting, maybe just for ELA, but can spend the rest of the day in a general education setting. You asked about how many classrooms were close to the 40 to 50%. I don't have a precise number today, but what I can say is, so 50% is the law. It's, you can't exceed 50% of students on IEPs in the classroom. So we don't, if we ever do run into that issue in any school, we work to figure out how to address it as quickly as possible. It can happen, it's pretty unusual. We actually think the number of classrooms getting close to the threshold are going to go down over time, because what we see right now is a concentration of students with disabilities in certain schools, because we've set this up as a program model that only certain schools have. As more students are able to attend their school of choice, and they're, sort of the modern version of what a neighborhood school means in BPS, which is just, the school your family would choose, we're going to see less of schools that are these sort of have this higher concentrations of students with disabilities. And so our hope and thinking is we're actually going to see fewer classrooms closer to the 40% threshold than we have today. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have 20% of our students with disabilities in our system overall. And some of those students will always need substantially separate services. And so you can sort of take them apart from that number. And so the number of students, the percent of students with disabilities in a general ed setting is probably going to be lower than 20% district-wide, maybe even down to sort of, 15, 16%. And so the hope would be, as we spread this work out and every school has access, you're going to see most classrooms in that, sort of 10 to 20% special ed range, and less at this higher end.
Got it. And can you talk to me a little bit about the path on this, how we get down from like relying overly on triple licensures,
Sure.
like double
Yeah.
licensures?
So one of the things, as we both learned from schools like the Henderson, as Councilor Murphy was mentioning earlier, but also just from other schools across the Commonwealth and across the country about what best practices are, is we've gotten into a very strict model way of thinking, where it's sort of like it's all one teacher by themselves, or it's 2 teachers all the time. And so the 2 teachers all the time is a very expensive way to do it, and not all classrooms really need 2 teachers all the time. So, but because we're saying no to that, and the only other option is 1 teacher by themselves all the time, right? We haven't explored this vast middle ground that is where most other districts operate, which is, a special educator might push into a classroom just for an ELA block to support with specialized instruction, or just for a math block, right? And that the teacher may be the sole teacher of record who's with the class all day, but they're getting push-in supports from teachers who have an opportunity to plan with them and work with them collaboratively to make sure that the kids are getting the services that are designated under their IEP, and they're really not feeling like they're in it alone.
And what about the more hands aspect? Like, do we ever say, okay, and this is a moment where it's a sole teacher, but we're gonna make sure they have a para because if they're using their specialized knowledge with this one student, like someone else needs to like make sure everyone isn't throwing the supplies at each other. Or
Exactly.
whatever, like,
Yeah, exactly. So I think, and this is where, one of our upcoming deadlines for DESE and our systemic improvement plan is around building out new circulars and guidance around serving students with disabilities, and one of the important things that we'll be adding into that is a sort of new way of thinking about supports for students or models of service that really builds out some of the like case studies of when you might do that, right? So you have maybe just one student with disabilities in a classroom who needs a relatively low level of service and a teacher who's licensed to provide it in addition to being the teacher of record. Well, if they're going to be doing it this part of the day, here's the way they can be getting supports to do that, right? Or maybe the paraprofessional can get trained to be the one-on-one coach for that teacher. And there's sort of a spectrum of options that we want to be available to schools, and we want to give schools the opportunity to use their staff more flexibly than we do now.
got it.
Council, I was going to say, just to support what David said, I think it's kind of a shift in our focus from strictly compliance, and I think that's where there were, occasions where maybe the licensed teacher was used in a way that, okay, we could check the box for, they have their special ed license, they have their ESL license, check. What we want to do now is focus on the actual services that are being provided and make sure that the students are actually getting what they need and we're not just checking a box. So I think, while we still encourage multi-licensed teachers, we want teachers to have the skill sets that are required to get licensed in a variety of areas. We don't want that to be relied upon just to meet our compliance requirements. We want to actually focus on what services they're able to provide the students in the classroom.
Right, no, absolutely. And certainly, I think obviously, a lot of our teachers pursue additional licensures because they want to serve our population of students better. And it has always struck me as a little perverse that, you would get these additional licensures and we would then say, and now, like, we get to, because you become omnicompetent, you get no help, right? Like, with any, and I don't know, that has struck me as a strange way to operate. It'll come on, it's just, Ron has to just turn it on.
So one thing I would say, and I would circle back to a point that you made earlier, which, provides the sort of school-by-school process of building the model that comes next. This is very much sort of at the core of it. And one of the things that, the union sort of pushed a great deal about in these negotiations was that, the multiple licensure requirement is too often an excuse to do more with less. And so the process that you highlighted earlier, that sort of cooperative process that we build the regime that's coming, is a mechanism by which the union can make the argument that, this is actually a situation where multiple licenses is serving the student population, or this is a situation where it's an excuse to do more with less. So the whole process that we build in a school by school, the councils that work together very much relate to your question too.
Great, thank you so much. And and then obviously, just so that folks who are watching at home understand, this contract is a 3-year contract. It backdates to the prior year, September of last year, and it has 2.5% wage increases for each year for the teachers, and then another a sort of additional increase associated with this shift in everybody's work requirements related to inclusion. So I think it's another 0.5% in the first year, another 1 in the middle year, and then another 0.5% in the second. So it's basically, so the effective total net wage increase is 3.5, and 3, is that right? Do I have that right? Or no, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So just sort of putting that on the record for folks, because I'm not sure if we said it clearly before. I do want to acknowledge my colleague, Councillor Gabriela Coletta of District 1, and see if she has any questions.
Thank you, Chair. I do have 2 questions, and mostly I wanted to be here and just show support for BTU and our BPS educators, and thank you all for your work on this, both on behalf of the administration, Lou, and folks in Boston Public Schools. And I do see this as progress, especially given the hardships that we've all experienced the last couple of years with the pandemic. And I wanted to just say how pleased I am and how excited I am that the city is putting in the city's parental paid leave policy. It was devastating when this was going through the council, and as chief for the former city councilor, now Senator Lydia Edwards, I had helped to expand it, both in terms of the amount of time and then to all parents. And then during that time, one of our constituents called, and she's an educator, she was a teacher, I'm pretty sure she's a teacher still, and was all excited like, hey, is this going to apply to me? And I had to tell her, no, it wouldn't. So it's awesome that you folks have moved that into the contract and it's codified. I love the fact that you are expanding the affordable housing provisions as well too. I had some questions on that just as a counselor who represents a district that is dealing with displacement due to gentrification. And a lot of our students, especially at East Boston High School, are dealing with homelessness. And my understanding is that the affordable housing investments will expand a pilot program. Can you talk about how this investment will ultimately eliminate homelessness for families, and how maybe it's already impacted students, and especially students in my district?
Thank you so much for your comments as well as that question. And we agree very much on this issue of sort of making sure our students are housed is one of the fundamental core things we need to be doing as a city. And I think one of the things that I really appreciated that the city administration did as we started this pilot program was say, this isn't a BPS problem. This is a whole city problem. And really have worked collaboratively across multiple agencies to help pilot this program. And I think it was a really exciting development for the Boston Teachers Union to want to sort of formalize their support and participation in this effort. So I think, our goal as stated is within 5 years to eliminate homelessness in the students in Boston schools. So we feel like we're on track with that. I don't have a ton more of the details about your district. I apologize, but I can certainly reach back out to my colleagues and get you any information you need on that.
Yeah, that would be great, and I'm pretty sure it has something to do with Higher Ground and Melissa Kokopian's team. I wanted to just make sure it was the same program because it has been successful,
Yes.
Especially in East Boston. So just calling out the great work already and just making sure that it's going to continue.
Yes.
Continue that great work.
Yeah.
And then my last question is, it was going to be about special education, but I have heard a lot about the English language learner program, and learning more about how this contract will improve that situation. Just because I have been hearing from parents who have been looking for more from BPS. English language learners.
Sorry, just confirming which one of us was going to answer. So the main thing that this contract has done is sort of expand compensation for our language acquisition team facilitators to acknowledge the important work they're doing to ensure that our students are getting the supports they need in whatever model of service, be it ESL, Sheltered English Immersion, dual language, whatever program is happening in their school. I think this is a real recognition for our highly skilled language acquisition team facilitators, how much time they're putting in and how our previous contractual agreement didn't really reflect the needs of that program. And so I'm excited for that. And I also think, there are a number of other initiatives we're working on, and hopefully you'll see being published already and soon through our work with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on the Systemic Improvement Plan on really revamping and revitalizing our programs for English learners.
Yeah, and Counselor, just to weigh in on that as well, and thank you also for your comments earlier to support what David had said, but if you look at the actual figures, you'll see it is a significant increase in the funding for our LATF stipend payments. So we really want to incentivize and retain and kind of recruit more teachers to get involved with that program. So I think that's reflected in the amount that we have increased that. I think it's been underlooked as a stipend for a little while, and here we really wanted to prioritize that as something that these educators should be rewarded for, and we think the new amount reflects that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Coletta. Yeah, and I totally second. I think the homelessness program and the partnership with the Boston Housing Authority and kind of, it's very encouraging to me. I think this council's been consistent over a number of years now in advocating for our homeless students. That was something Councilor Asabi George was very focused on. And it's amazing to me to think about us going from a place where we're talking about sort of Hearn and how do we have how do we have some backpacks and supplies and clothes for kids, which is a very important piece of the puzzle, right?
Totally.
But going from that conversation about our homeless young people to saying, no, really, how do we get our families housed, right? I think that's been a huge transition over the last 8 years or so, which, started with even acknowledging the scale of the problem. I think it was 7% or something at one point of students in BPS who are homeless, which I think is always a number that shocks people. So yeah, I just really want to second the view that it's huge.
Thank you.
And we're really glad you're working on it. And go ahead.
One thing I would add on that too, from the perspective of the priorities of the administration, tackling that particular problem from a sort of traditional labor law perspective, it's not necessarily a subject of a bargaining, when you sort of construe exactly what you do at the table, but, the sort of opportunity to do that stuff and partner with our unions and find ways to do things like that is sort of the watchword of the way we want to do business. That doesn't mean that we'll do that with everything that comes to us, but, when there's a good idea, it's one that we're willing to co-sign, regardless of where it comes from. So.
No, and I think that's fantastic. And it really speaks to, and I think again, it speaks to how our BTU educators bring sort of their whole selves into these conversations. These are the teachers who are worrying about their students who go home unhoused. So for them to say, hey, that's part of my work, right? In that sense, it's an appropriate topic of bargaining because it's, something keeping me up at night, I think is tremendous. And this thing about, it's a small thing, but this thing about educators not using their own hotspots and us making sure we actually have Wi-Fi in our buildings, I assume that that's been assisted, us achieving that by the rollout of a fiber optic network to all of the schools.
Yeah, yes, it has been. And I think also there's a lot of work we're doing just to improve coverage in buildings and making sure that, every
space actually has
nook and cranny of some of our buildings with a lot of nook and crannies have real strong Wi-Fi access.
We have some good solid construction materials in a lot of those buildings, but I think that is a challenge for signal sometimes, yes. I want to just check with Ron whether we've had anyone sign up for public testimony. Okay, seeing none. I think that those are all of my questions, and it sounds like the colleagues' questions. I am planning to recommend passage of this docket tomorrow. Obviously this is retroactive back to last September, and so it's been a long time coming. But I really, obviously, I think, I think it got dealt with quite expeditiously, all things considered, and given all the other contracts on the table and everything, we're really pleased to hear it done. And I think it's very helpful to our new superintendent that she's able to come in where the question is implementing this contract as opposed to just agreeing it, right? And was pleased to hear it be ratified by the BTU members and approved by the school committee. So delighted to support it, and I'll be saying as much tomorrow. Did you all have any closing comments you wanted to offer? All right, then. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Council, for your support. We appreciate it. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Lou and the mayor's team for helping us with this contract. They really couldn't have gotten done as quickly and efficiently without his support and the mayor's support. And as always, thanks to our union partners for working with us on these significant reforms. And we're excited to see where it leads. and how it impacts the outcomes for our students.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously, BPS is like 40% of the city budget. So I think that it's very important that our city hall, 5th and 6th floor teams are working hand in hand with you all. And so really glad that everybody was able to partner on this contract. I'll also say that, obviously it's a perennial topic of council concern and discussion, the increase of the BPS budget, not just year on year proportionately, but above, right, in terms of we've gone from 30% to 40% over the course of the time I've been paying attention to the budget. And I think there's some cautions and concerns there. But I also think that one of the things that comes up again and again is like, okay, wait, if we're doing this increase, like what are we achieving? Like what's the thing that the additional money is achieving? And so I very much appreciate that, since we've also been talking forever about inclusion and sort of how do we implement a better model for our students and also frankly meet the state requirements on us or on that front. It's very encouraging here that though we're talking about a budget increase, of course, that it's connected to that substantive point. So great. Well, thank you all. With that, this hearing of the Boston City Council's Committee on City Services and Innovation Technology is adjourned. Thank you.